3 Super Mario Game Genie codes that are absolutely insane. Number 3. Number 3. Kick all enemies. This code lets Mario kick almost any enemy like it's a Koopa shell. You could kick the angry sun, launch piranha plants, and even send Bowser's fireballs flying right back into his face. Number 2. Haywire fireballs. Mario's fireballs are completely up.
What if Disneyland...
And this week here is the most. And this week here is the most.
决斗呆呆鸟属于中立阵营，本局需要淘汰另一只决斗呆呆鸟，成为场上唯一存活的决斗呆呆鸟之后，被投票出局后获得胜利。完成任务可解锁击倒其他决斗呆呆鸟的能力，努力击倒其他呆呆鸟并被投出局来获得胜利吧。
هلا رح نحكي اسمع لولو بابا. لولو عم بدلب بابا، يا الله شو بتزعلوا، جبنا ألعابة وتيابة، حاضر بابا ما بتقلو. شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ حاضر حاضر. شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ حاضر حاضر. لولو بتلعب مع رفقاتها، بابا قال لها لولو تعي عالصابت ورميت ألعابها.
حاضر بابا ما بتقلي.
شو بدنا نقول
يا
للبابا؟
صاحبي يسوي كيس.
شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ أنا لولو يا بابا بحبك، ما بقدر أعتني بلاك. أنا غلطانة وما
منيح.
سعيدة، لا ما بدي إلا رضاك. بابا بابا أنت عمري، سامحني أنا بترجاك. بابا بابا أنت عمري، أنت علي بترجاك. شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟ شو بدنا نقول للبابا؟
when I think I've avoided danger. But don't worry. I always recover.
Hello, Mr. Bum.
Hello, little Miss Brave. What are you doing up there?
I'm fixing the roof. Would you bring me the toolbox?
Of course.
Yeah, thrash these evil Argentinians.
Sometimes it's not about being brave, but about always bouncing back.
Yeah. Good. One day I will like it.
You spent all your money at the moment, haven't you, my darling?
I haven't got until August, she said.
It's only a couple of weeks. It's only a couple of years, darling. Right. Surprisingly, our shopping Ocado doesn't do cabbage juice.
They are too cats.
Cabbage, I've got sweetheart cabbage, Savoy cabbage, white cabbage, red cabbage, Chinese leaf cabbage, cabbage with Bramley apple, cabbage slaw with beetroot and apple, jars of red cabbage, cabbage, even cabbage seeds got out of stock. All sorts of things you never knew you needed. Imagine that. Dig up the grass and turn it into
Oh, I feel it's coming on Monday.
Somewhere in this small town, there's a place no guide has written about.
Like Furby saying, hey, what's that?
Beautiful games, beautiful places. The only mention ever, the less everyone can freely up to 25 games. Oh, two.
Smell that.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I want to play a Super Mario game that's not quite as good as the original? Well, boy, do I got some games to show you today. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 of the most amazing and unknown Super Mario clones across several systems. This is not your average list. I can about guarantee there are Super Mario clones on this list that not even the biggest Mario fans know about. But they should. These games on my list today are all retro games in some capacity. Most of these games were created more than 20 years ago at this point. so there's no new stuff here. Some of these are absolutely bonkers, some very bizarre, while others are exceptionally impressive. I've got 5 of these games to show you today, so we'll take a look at them one by one, and I'll tell you a little bit about each game. Let's check them out. So coming up first today, we've got Super Mario World for the 8-bit NES. Famicom to be specific. Yes, this does actually exist. This particular version of Super Mario World was created by the Taiwanese pirate game developer, Hummer Team, who were known for developing higher than normal quality pirate games. Usually pirate games were very poorly developed. They were rushed and were oftentimes just ROM hacks of existing games. Now the Hummer Team would usually take their pirating a bit more seriously, creating original game engines for their stolen IPs. You could tell there was some real inspiration behind a lot of their games, and some real work went into them. They weren't the best quality. There's no doubt they were pirate games, but they were surprisingly better than you would imagine. Super Mario World was no exception. This game is entirely playable and more feature-rich than you would expect. The game's got a lot of the same elements that makes the real Super Mario World so special. Just here, they're not as well executed. For example, you can fly with the feather cake, shoot fireballs, even ride Yoshi. None of the levels in this game are exact copies of the original. The game's only got 28 of the 96 levels in the original game, though most of the levels it does have were cut down even further, or entirely new levels inspired by ones from the original game. The physics in this game are somewhat awkward, the biggest pain being that no matter what speed Mario is moving, as soon as you jump, you'll suddenly slow down in the air, and that's very un-Mario-like. One of the things that makes Mario a great game is how you can throw your weight around and it feels so solid. This version did not master this aspect of Mario, but we can kind of fix it, somewhat. If you use the Game Genie code, USUPLAS, it'll fix the slowing down in the air issue, making the game a lot easier to play. Now if you compare this game to the Nintendo original, it looks absolutely ridiculous. The game's nowhere near as polished as the official game. The sprites look either ripped from other 8-bit Mario games, or hand-copied with the occasional mistake. There are ROM hacks and fan projects today that aim to improve on the graphics and playability of this game, which might be worth looking into if you want to try this one out. Overall, I'd say this game is pretty impressive. If you're able to accept this game for what it is, and not directly compare this to the official Super Nintendo version, I think you'd be surprised with how fun this one can be. There's a lot of stuff here. If you're going to check this out, like I said, use that Game Genie code USUPLAS, and make sure you get the version of the game with all 7 worlds in it. There are 2 versions of this game floating around the web these days, and one of them is a very short, incomplete, pre-release version, so make sure you get the good one. Next, we have Super Mario World DX for MS-DOS. This game was created by German developer BB Software back in 2002. Now that's interesting because this was well past the point where most people had left DOS for Windows gaming. Although this game never made it out of a pre-release version, this game was surprisingly feature-rich and contained many of the stage types as the original. You had the cave level, the ghost house, the underwater stage. There are only 5 levels in total that made it into this demo, but it's a good taste of what this game would have had to offer. I guess Nintendo felt threatened enough by this version that Nintendo did what Nintendo do. They killed it by threatening legal action. And less than a year after Super Mario World DX came out, BB Software took it down. I scoured the old BB Software pages that were captured on archive.org and found that there was a level editor once released for this game. Unfortunately, the level editor was not saved in the archive, and if it wasn't for savvy gamers keeping their downloads, we wouldn't even have the main game that we do today. Thank you, data hoarders. The way this game handles is very impressive. The Mario physics seem very close to the original game, capturing a lot of the subtleties of the original that make the game feel pretty close to the Nintendo version that we all love. You can tell this game was still in the works because it's missing a lot of the stuff the Super Nintendo version had. Capes aren't here, the overworld map isn't here. Like I said, there's only 5 stages here, about 20 minutes of gameplay. The graphics here are very faithful to the Nintendo original. I'm pretty sure the author just copied the graphics pixel by pixel to create this. They did a good job too because it looks just like the Nintendo Super Mario World, even including transparency effects. Most of the sound effects are present. They do seem to be directly copied from the original game. The music, however, is very lacking. Most of the time there is no music, but for some reason the Ghost House does have music. Probably just didn't get that far into it. Overall, this is an interesting conversion that really could have been something special had it more time to be developed. It's a shame we never got that level editor, because I know there's a lot of people out there like me who would have loved to dig into that. Still, an interesting demo that most people had no idea ever existed. Next up, we have Superboy for the MSX home computer. This one was created back in 1989 by a company called Zemina, a pirate game developer from South Korea. Zemina actually had quite the library of unlicensed pirate games. Copyright laws in South Korea were so jacked up back then that Zemina was able to produce copyright-infringing games like this, all while releasing actual licensed games as well. They weren't great games, but you can tell they did want to be taken seriously, and as such, some effort was put into the development of these games. Unfortunately, Superboy is lacking a lot of what the original Super Mario Bros. Had going for it. For instance, you can't kick turtle shells because you just take them out right away when you jump on them. And also the length of this game is pretty lacking at only 4 worlds. The layout of the levels sort of follow the official game, but for whatever reason deviate into kind of their own thing, with each stage retaining influence of the original levels. To be completely honest, I thought this game had some good ideas. I wouldn't say it's in the same league as Nintendo's game, but I really had a lot of fun playing through this one. It's hard to tell because of the janky level scrolling, but there is definitely some underlying code in this game to control the physics of Mario. Like how you don't just come to a complete stop immediately when you let go of the D-pad. They've got some momentum here, like in the actual game, and controlling Mario here isn't that hard. It's pretty fun, actually. The color palette in this clone looks much less detailed, a lot more dull compared to the official game. The MSX hardware was more limited in this regard. Another weak point of this game is the level scrolling. The scrolling here is pretty chunky and not very smooth. I'm actually surprised that there was any scrolling here at all, since the original MSX lacks any sort of hardware-based scrolling. It was interesting that Zemina decided to include scrolling instead of just taking it screen by screen like in Super Mario Special, the officially licensed version of Super Mario Bros. For computer, which was released in South Korea at the time. The music is weird. I don't like it much. Which was released in special, scrolling, and hardware-based scrolling. It was interesting that Zemina decided to include scrolling instead of just taking it screen by screen like in Super Mario Special, the officially licensed version of Super Mario Bros. For computer, which was released in South Korea at the time. The music is weird. I don't like it much. It doesn't sound dreadful, but it doesn't sound good either. It's sort of like they were trying to match it as best as they could. It's close, but not quite there. Overall, I'd say if you're into these wacky Super Mario clones, Superboy is definitely an obscure Super Mario clone worth checking out. Next, we have Super Mario Brothers.
What do you think was this bad thing?
Here is an open source homebrew version of Super Mario, created by one guy, Lucas Scharenbroich, over the span of about 6 years, starting back in 1996. It was never finished, but has a surprisingly playable amount of the game. On his website, Lucas mentioned that he created this game as an experiment to see if he could create Super Mario Brothers for the Apple IIgs. From what I gather, this was mainly an educational experiment where he learned how to tackle all of the different elements that go into a game like this. Most of the gameplay elements have been implemented in this version. Some things like platforms move a little bit differently than you expect, but overall I am very surprised with how much of the original game made it over to Lucas's version. Overall, the level design is very faithful to the Nintendo original. I even checked for the correct placement of several of the hidden blocks, and unlike most other clones, it did indeed have them. Only minor changes were made to the level design, as well as the omission of the warp zone at the end of 1-2. I think the warp zones were not included because the game itself is technically only a demo. It was never finished past World 2-4. As far as the physics and feel of the game, as you'd expect, it's not as good as the original. Mario's controls feel a lot more loose than the original. It's harder to stop when you've got momentum, and the controls themselves feel a bit too touchy. Just a slight tap on the directional keys make you move too much. The slow momentum and touchy controls make maneuvering with any sort of precision exceptionally difficult.
I just did the budgeting app for Space 44.
Interesting. Can it generate reports?
It can now. Anything else?
Can this process invoices?
Can it show cost growth by category?
Can it track spending trends?
Done.
The graphics here look very similar to the official Super Mario, but I would not say it's a pixel-perfect representation
So
of the
all
original.
those
The
teams
artwork
which
is all
went to the
slightly
World Cup,
different than Nintendo's version,
they will still
as
get
well as
paid
the
for
aspect ratio being a bit
Yeah.
different here on the 2GS. So it all does look a little squished. The sound is one of the worst parts of this game. There are no actual sound effects here, and the only music in the game is the same tune repeated over and over the entire time you're playing. It's maddening. It sounds like some wacky circus music, and let me tell you, with the difficulty of this damn game, that music is an absolute slap in the face to an already irritated gamer. But the author did make it easy to change out the music. I just wonder why they didn't bother putting in some actual Super Mario music. Kudos to Lucas for creating such a fun Super Mario clone. I just wish it was longer. But with it being open source, it's entirely possible for someone to come along and finish up this game. Maybe even Luke. Okay, the last Super Mario game I got for you today is a weird one. This is Super Mario Brothers for the shareware classic Commander Keen on MS-DOS. This is awesome. So this is a Commander Keen mod created by hacker Samiji back in 2010. The author said they created this mod to give Commander Keen a Super Mario Brothers feeling. This one reminds me a lot of the story of how legendary developer id Software had made a Super Mario clone themselves to try and sell it to Nintendo. That didn't work out for them, so they retooled their demo and released it as Commander Keen. In this game, you've got to make your way through 30 levels to try and stop Wario and rescue Luigi and Princess Peach. The gameplay here has not been altered from the standard Commander Keen game. All the buttons are the same, as well as the movement in the game. Really, the only difference here is that the levels and sprites have been drastically changed from the originals. Like I mentioned, the author claims to have made this mod to give the game a, quote, Super Mario feeling. And in my opinion, it definitely does accomplish that. I feel it. There is an impressive amount of work that's gone into this. And even though it's limited to the Commander Keen engine, the author was able to fit a surprisingly big variety of levels. Stuff that you wouldn't expect, like underwater levels. And they're all very difficult. This hack is not well suited for anyone but the most experienced Keen players. The game plays much differently than you'd expect. The mushroom acts as your pogo stick and lets you high jump. The blaster pistol is your fire flower. And the thing that constantly throws me off here is the fact that you can't jump on Goombas. For some reason, they insta-kill you. The Goombas are the worst part of this hack. I don't know about you guys, but when I see a Goomba, I want to jump on it. It's programmed into my brain at this point, and since you can't jump on them here, it leads to a lot of frustration. But hey, you can jump on the Koopa Troopas. The graphics in this hack look, for the most part, pixel perfect. Commander Keen was an EGA game, which supports a lot of colors, so everything does look pretty close to the NES original. Although for some reason we once again have a yellow Super Mario. The original Super Mario Bros. Changed how platformers worked. The movement, the enemies, the power-ups, it all just clicked. You could understand the game just by playing it. Then Super Mario Bros. 3 came along and took that original foundation and expanded it into something bigger. World maps, themed kingdoms, a whole sense that Mario lived in a real place with rules. So of course, developers around the world paid attention. Some made great platformers inspired by Mario. Others tried to rebuild him directly, and that's where things get strange. The MSX was a family of home computers popular across Asia in the 1980s, and it became the unlikely home for some of the strangest, unofficial Super Mario games ever made. Today, we're looking at those games, from bizarre bootlegs and clones of clones, to one modern homebrew project that somehow figured out what all of them were actually trying to do. To understand how these games happened, you have to understand the markets they came from. South Korea in the 1980s had its own home gaming scene, built not around the NES, but around MSX-compatible hardware. One of the key machines was the ZeniX, basically MSX internals in a game console shell. Cartridges, controllers, the whole thing. And one of the most important companies in that scene was Zemina. They started in Korea's early bootleg software market, distributing copied Japanese MSX games. But this is where the legal picture gets interesting. Before 1987, Korea had no copyright law covering computer programs at all, so copying foreign games was completely open. But when that law came in, it only protected the code, not the concept. So companies found a workaround. Instead of copying foreign games directly, they would rebuild them from scratch. Same concept, new code. That way they had something they could actually sell. That's why this scene produced so many strange games. The market was there, the hardware was there, and the legal environment made it possible. Once Korean developers were building their own versions of famous games, Super Mario Bros. Was an obvious target. Superboy was Zemina's answer to Mario, a series of platformers built for the MSX and ZemX market. Superboy 1 and 2 were Zemina's first attempts at building their own Mario-style games. And what they showed pretty quickly is that copying Mario is harder than it looks. The blocks, the pipes, the enemies, that stuff is easy to replicate. The hard part is the feel, how it controls, how the mechanics connect. Superboy got the outside right and missed almost everything underneath. Now, Superboy 3 improved on that. Better controls, you could finally kick shells, fireballs actually bounced, but it also got weirder, mixing Super Mario Bros. 3 visuals with Super Mario World enemies. Unfortunately, Zemina never made an actual Super Mario Bros. 3 clone. They went on to Superboy 4 before eventually breaking up. If you want the full story of Superboy and Zemina, I made an entire video about it. But that wasn't the last we saw of Super Mario on the MSX. Another company came along and made an actual clone of Super Mario Bros. 3.
Game to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want. You can have really relaxed, slow-paced stuff where or you can be on the edge of your seat, shaking, making split-second decisions. This is Eve. You know, it's a crazy universe where anything can happen. How
back to the title screen. No ending, nothing. Apparently there is supposed to be an ending, but the game glitched out for me. Go figure. And that World 1 in the title, that was probably meant to set up future installments. Those never happened either. And yet, for an MSX game trying to rebuild the legendary Super Mario Bros.
Are you good to know?
You have to respect the
Yeah.
world maps, bonus areas, boss fights, even its own takes on the music. It really went for it. And somehow, this story gets
Yeah.
strange. Not long after Super Bros. World 1 came out, another Korean company took the game, swapped out the graphics, built new levels on top of it, and released it as an entirely new game. A clone of a clone. Let's talk about that. Super Bio Man is essentially Super Bros. World 1 with a different coat of paint, different graphics, different character, some new levels, and somehow it's kind of a better game. The first thing you notice is that the protagonist is actually kind of cute. Not trying to be Mario and falling short cute, just his own little thing. And the level design, while still janky, feels slightly more considered. The stages are a bit more interesting to move through. The most important improvement was that relentless Phantom Boo creature barely shows up. It's almost completely gone. I think I saw it in one stage. That alone makes the game more playable. The boss rooms feel a little more polished, too. The whole game has this slightly higher production feel to it. And this time, the game's ending actually worked. And here's the thing I cannot get over. Super Bio Man was a real commercial product. So what we have here is a company ripping off another company that was itself ripping off Nintendo. The audacity, the layers, it's almost admirable. Super Bio Man 2 and 3 are either incredibly rare or effectively lost. So we're jumping straight to Super Bio Man 4, which is convenient because it shows where the whole lineage ended up. The answer is roughly the same place. Two worlds, similar structure, but the graphics are improved, the level design is a bit more polished, and it's clear that whoever was making these games had gotten more comfortable with the hardware and the formula. It doesn't reinvent anything, but it also doesn't feel like it needs to. By Bioman 4, this game had become its own weird little thing. A series of Korean MSX platformers with Mario's skeleton inside them, slowly building their own identity. And that's where the story could have ended. But in 2020, someone decided to ask a completely different question. Not, can we make a Mario clone for MSX? But can MSX actually run Super Mario World? And the answer is going to surprise you.
They put 100,000 people on one arm and gave me a bed on deck 943. No elevator, only rungs. People fell every night. I climbed down for breakfast. 3 hours down.
That's so funny.
Every game we've looked at today was trying to fill a gap in the market. Can we make our own Mario for this hardware? Can we sell it? Can we get away with it? But Deimos, a developer in the modern MSX homebrew scene, wasn't trying to make an MSX Mario game. He was trying to see how far the hardware itself could be pushed. He spent 8 years building a version of Super Mario World for the MSX2, then released it for free as open source. And somehow, it actually works. Now, the MSX2 was a real upgrade over the original MSX. Better graphics, more colors, higher resolution, but it still wasn't built for the kind of smooth, layered, fast-scrolling action the Super Nintendo could do. Not even close. The first thing that hits you is how much of Super Mario World's movement actually made it over. You can carry shells through pipes, throw them upwards. There are pipes that launch you out like cannons, just like the SNES game. You can even run sideways up pipes. The controls are definitely looser than the original, but the responsiveness is there. The feel is there in a way those older bootlegs never quite managed. There are compromises, of course. The cape power-up is gone, replaced with this tornado ability that works along the same lines. And really, it's close enough. And then there's Yoshi. Yoshi made it into this game, except here, instead of sticking out his tongue, he inhales enemies, like Kirby. I also ran into this hilarious bug, where I hopped off Yoshi to collect a Yoshi coin, and when I got back to Yoshi, his actual head had turned into a Yoshi coin, and I accidentally
becomes a cash register, Gary's the cashier, and there's a huge line outside. Meanwhile, back at the Krusty Krab, customers are disgusted by Mr. Krabs' Krabby Patty, so Mr. Krabs digs a lava boat to stop them from leaving, but they just use him as a human bridge. Squidward can't believe his eyes when he sees SpongeBob's pineapple turned into restaurants, so he calls the health inspector to report him for running an illegal business. Meanwhile, Mr. Krabs, riding in an ambulance, spots the pineapple and is stunned. He realizes SpongeBob has made more money than he's ever dreamed of. Feeling defeated, Mr. Krabs tries to leave, but SpongeBob stops him and gives him all the profits. But then, the health inspector arrives and the restaurant gets shut down. SpongeBob gets fired by Mr. Krabs and opens his own restaurant. He transforms his pineapple into a full-on eater. The cash becomes a register, Gary's the cashier, and there's a huge line outside. Meanwhile, back at the Krusty Krab, customers are disgusted by Mr. Krabs' Krabby Patties. SpongeBob starts his day in Binary Bottom by unplugging himself, assembling his face, and getting ready for work. After all that, he enjoys a breakfast of nuts and bolts. But Robo-Gary has other plans. He sneaks into SpongeBob starts...
Are you?
The news reporter from SpongeBob gets fired and replaced by an AI robot.
This is terrible.
SpongeBob is outraged and protests outside BBTV. But when the AI reporter arrives, Perch Perkins runs off. SpongeBob chases him and discovers an alley full of fired reporters. Low of 55, high of 72.
Variety Playground Service. Bad pen.
Determined to help, SpongeBob lands on the job as a supermarket announcer. But instead of calling for a cleanup, Perch interviews Bubble Bass about his spilled pickles. Later, Mr. Krabs hires him for drive-thru duty, but Perch interrogates Larry instead of taking his order. Fired again, he loses all hope until SpongeBob challenges the AI to a reporting battle. At first, the AI dominates, reporting wild stories at lightning speed, and Perch is completely overwhelmed. But then he uncovers the truth.
News has been causing the very stories he reports on.
Perch
his foot on the elevator door and pushed it open. But when he opened the door, there was a wall in front of him. Squidward even fell into the elevator shaft. After being rescued by SpongeBob, he overheard a door above his head. So Squidward used SpongeBob and Patrick as stepping stones. He managed to climb up the elevator, but he ended up circling back to the elevator. A hungry Patrick ordered a pizza. Squidward grabbed his cell phone and prepared to call for help, but he realized that the phone was out of battery. At that moment, the pizza arrived. Squidward tried to get out of the elevator, but Patrick closed the door. Squidward had to wait for help. After a long time, the elevator door was finally knocked. 2 policemen came, but they didn't come to rescue Squidward, because Squidward didn't return the book, so he was sent to the library jail. No one bothered him here, only books. Squidward liked this place very much, but soon the accident happened again. SpongeBob and Patrick came in. Squidward could only sigh helplessly. Squidward accidentally gets trapped in an elevator with SpongeBob SquarePants Patrick. Patrick says he can fix the elevator, but not only did he not fix the 3 things you should pink fuck. Patrick gets Who remembers the saddest Pokemon backstory of all time?
SpongeBob visits Bubbletown and reunites with his old friend Bubble Buddy. Buddy's motorcycle has a flat. SpongeBob and Patrick couldn't wait to test out their new Goofy Goober backstrap.
Plankton came to the Krusty Krab with a skunk. Everyone came over to watch curiously. Suddenly, the skunk farted, filling the entire Krusty Krab with a stinking smell. The next second, everyone scattered and fled. Mr. Krabs opened the door and just took a breath before fainting. Not long after, he and SpongeBob escaped. Mr. Krabs realized that this must be Plankton's doing, so he plugged his nose and entered the Krusty Krab again. At this time, Plankton had installed a bomb on the safe. With a loud bang, the door of the first safe opened, but there was another safe inside. Plankton's trick failed again. He was flattened by Mr. Krabs and thrown out of the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs planned to redesign the security system, so he handed the secret formula of the Krabby Patty to SpongeBob for safekeeping. But one of Plankton's tentacles left behind heard their conversation. The next day, when SpongeBob went to work, Plankton secretly sneaked into the pineapple house, but he searched the whole house and couldn't find the secret recipe. At this time, he saw Gary's shell and thought the secret recipe must be hidden inside. He got into Gary's shell, found a note, and rushed out excitedly, mistaking it for the formula. In fact, it was SpongeBob's shopping list, and the real secret recipe was placed on the TV. Plankton came to the Krusty Krab with a skunk. Everyone came over to watch curiously. Suddenly, the skunk farted, filling the entire Krusty Krab with a stinking smell. The next second, everyone scattered and fled. Mr. Krabs opened the door and just took a breath before fainting. Not long after, he and SpongeBob escaped. Mr. Krabs realized that this must be Plankton's doing, so he plugged his nose and entered the Krusty Krab again. At this time, Plankton had installed a bomb on the safe. With a loud bang, the door of the first safe opened, but there was another safe inside. Plankton's trick failed again. He was flattened by Mr. Krabs and thrown out of the Krusty Krab. Mr. Krabs planned to redesign the security system, so he handed the secret formula of the Krabby Patty to SpongeBob for safekeeping. But one of Plankton's tentacles left behind heard their conversation. The next day, when SpongeBob went to work, Plankton secretly sneaked into the pineapple house, but he searched the whole house and couldn't find the secret recipe.
来，第一个化学。
central theme of this evening is to understand the giant Isaac level. S and C.
A bath.
3号加拿大，3号加拿大，3号加拿大。3号加拿大。
Where is this spare pen? I parked it on it. Are you getting those? How did that happen? Okay, Sam. Alright, let's go. We way out. Okay.
Wheelchair again, so what I might do is walk some of it and put it in the water.
That one I could take.
Yeah, so when we go tomorrow to Farmore, it's going to be about 20 degrees. Monday will be bright. It might even rain on Sunday. Not this Sunday, next Sunday. You know, America and Iran have been fighting each other again. Iran they're firing missiles and they killed 2 American soldiers.
Well, they're firing missiles on those, the American bases.
Yeah, the Iranians have got a lot of missiles that they keep underground. So it's difficult to be Americans to find them. And so what they do is they pull them out at the front of the summer, put them on boats, launch them, and they hide them on shore, and they actually start finding them. So possibly the arrays of thousands of missiles all hidden. And there are American soldiers in that part of the world.
好在我是一张很重要的好在那种警长正义复仇什么说服士兵什么来个
So it's some comedy than that, and there isn't. There's some comedy than that. Trump hasn't commented on it yet. No, not in the past. I mean, yeah.
Johnny did another one.
Yeah, I need to sit down.
I know how to turn it off. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Ой-ой, совсем не слышно ничего. Ой, ты же немного каши ел. Говори громче.
Bye bye.
До свидания, мой друг. Я буду очень скучать.
I read this will be my last going to be on my Sarah.
My turn. Oh yeah, we going all the way at the end of the month. December 21st. Let's go. Let's go. First day of winter. It has to be rare. Rare? What? It's pretty common. That's cap. I'm a rare breed. What they talking about? How rare is your birthday? The most common birthday is actually September 9th. Out of the entire world, it's that day.
Let's see how rare our birthdays are. I'll go first. You already know. May 27th.
Let's go. Any birthday twins?
Let's see.
Uh-oh. Oh,
pretty common.
Okay. My turn. Oh yeah, we going all the way at the end of the month. December 21st. Let's go.
might find that one decides to...
I already turned him off.
Escalate. Didn't we just putting some string on it? You might decide to escalate, you know.
Oh, yeah. But I already put it in it.
After the killing.
I already turned him off.
Oh, you turn him back on again. Well, you need to look after that Furby, don't you? So, because it's been repaired. There's something off that top because the screws fall out. I had a problem when I changed the batteries and all of a sudden I thought, which screws on? Fortunately, I could find one.
Or get the something. So
What if pizza disappeared?
Oh no, I just ordered my favorite pizza.
Oh, some. Firstly, if
That's so funny.
burgers might suddenly get very, very popular. Secondly, if pizza disappeared, parties might suddenly become very, very boring. Thirdly, if pizza disappeared, delivery guys would suddenly have very little food to deliver. Fourthly, if pizza disappeared, some people might start losing a lot of weight.
The minion tied a dog leash to a little ladybug and planned to make it his pet, but the ladybug was too small. Just then, a UFO sucked the ladybug inside. It startled the minion, but the UFO looked kind of cute, so he decided to train it as his pet. He tossed the UFO a piece of popcorn. The little UFO smelled it and sucked the popcorn inside. From then on, the little UFO became the minion's favorite pet. No matter where he went, he would always take it along. The minion patiently taught the little UFO about Earth. The little UFO also played music for the minion. When the minion had only one piece of popcorn left, the UFO made the popcorn bigger. One day, they watched the movie Earth versus the Aliens together. When the tanks fired at the UFO on screen, the little UFO panicked. It fired a laser that shot through the house. But that was Gru's house. Gru immediately kicked them out. But even outside, they were still happy. Kevin asked it to draw a minion's butt. The little UFO listened very well. Then the UFO drew a house and told Kevin that the planet was his home. Maybe the little UFO was host. The minion tied a dog leash to a little ladybug. He planned to make it his pet, but the ladybug was too small. Just then, a UFO sucked the ladybug inside. It startled the minion, but the UFO looked kind of cute, so he decided to train it as his pet. He tossed the UFO a piece of popcorn. The little UFO smelled it and sucked the popcorn inside. From then on, the little UFO became the minion's favorite pet. He would always take it along. The minion patiently taught the little UFO about Earth. The little UFO also played music for the minion. When the minion had only one piece of popcorn left, the UFO made the popcorn bigger. One day, they watched the movie Earth versus the Aliens together. When the tanks fired at the UFO on screen, the little UFO panicked. It fired a laser that shot through the house. But that was Gru's house. Gru immediately kicked them out. But even outside, they were still happy. Kevin asked it to draw a laser's butt. The little UFO listened very well. Then the UFO drew a house and told Kevin that the planet was its home. Maybe the little UFO was homesick. The minion tied a dog leash to a little ladybug. He planned to make it his pet, but the ladybug was too small. Just then, a UFO sucked the ladybug inside. It startled the minion, but the UFO looked kind of cute, so he decided to train it as his pet. He tossed the UFO a piece of popcorn. The little UFO smelled it and sucked the popcorn inside. From then on, the little UFO became the minion's favorite pet. No matter where he went, he would always take it along. The minion patiently taught the little UFO about Earth. The little UFO also played music for the minion. When the minion had only one piece of popcorn left, the UFO made the popcorn bigger. One day, they watched the movie Earth versus the Aliens together. When the tanks fired at the UFO on screen, the little UFO panicked. It fired a laser that shot through the house. But that was Gru's house. Gru immediately kicked them out. But even outside, they were still happy. Kevin asked it to draw a minion's butt. The little UFO listened very well. Then the UFO drew a house and told Kevin that the planet was its home. Maybe the little UFO was homesick. The minion tied a dog leash to a little ladybug. He planned to make it his pet, but the ladybug was too small. Just then, a UFO sucked the ladybug inside. It startled the minion, but the UFO looked kind of cute, so he decided to train it as his pet. He tossed the UFO a piece of popcorn. The little UFO smelled it and sucked the popcorn inside. From then on, the little UFO became the minion's favorite pet. No matter where he went, he would always take it along. The minion patiently taught the little UFO about Earth. The little UFO also played music for the minion. When the minion had only one piece of popcorn left, the UFO made the popcorn bigger. One day, they watched the movie Earth versus the Aliens together. When the fired a laser that shot through the house. But that was Gru's house. Gru immediately kicked them out. But even outside, they were still happy. Kevin asked him to draw a minion's butt. The little UFO listened very well. Then the UFO drew a house and told him that the planet was his home. Maybe the little UFO was homesick. The minion tied a dog leash to a little ladybug. He planned to make it his pet, but the ladybug was too small. Just then, a UFO sucked the ladybug inside. It startled the minion, but the UFO looked kind of cute, so he decided to train it as his pet. He tossed the UFO a piece of popcorn. The little UFO swallowed and sucked the popcorn inside. From then on, the little UFO became the minion's favorite pet. No matter where he went, he was always there. The minion patiently taught the little UFO about Earth. The little UFO also played music for the minion. When the minion had...
SpongeBob's Pineapple House.
Oh, you get to know.
Free online games.
SpongeBob.
Free on.
إذا أردت أن أكون مثل مستر سلطة يجب أن أفكر مياو مياو. هل تعرف يا شمشون أنت تقريبا أصغر كائن رأيته في حياتي. إذا أردت أن أكون مثل مستر سلطة يجب أن أفكر مثله.
Free online.
SpongeBob finally adopted a group of snails under his careful care.
You want me to tell you the secret of how to win on this machine? SpongeBob, there's a secret. Tell me the secret. Are you ready to be a winner? Yes, yes. SpongeBob, the secret. Okay, Squidward, okay.
Then I have a set.
I was trying to cut them off here. And they're tubular, cut them off here. I've seen a lot of flies running around the top of the little tiny flies. So I think the top's might be a bit compromised. But anyway, this is the cut. If you take two and cut them like this and there, you just take the bottom. That's all right. But around the top, so you tend to have little holes down here.
If it was really not snowy, I'm gonna go and have a shower. Yeah.
I wonder any more milk come out. I'll make some more milk when you come out. We'll have some shows.
First time at this a while.
Did you know for Toy Story, Woody and Buzz Lightyear, SpongeBob splashed out a drop of paint that would never fade. Fortunately, after it made a circle, it went back into the paint bucket that was a rip-off next. It was time to... How rare is your name? A snail? Am I a puppet? Or a robot? Or a banana? A banana. A banana? Tap the screen now to get a free Neato. Answer 2.
What's the name of the packaging? It's called, what's the name?
Starving.
The duck, Good frozen to that.
Got in around now. So we have a show. I got caught in the first round. So I've watched it for 3 hours. What do you mean?
You've got Farmore in the morning. You won't be able to go to Farmore if you have a meltdown. So just settle down for a moment. It's just a game.
It is a 3.
Try and finish your game.
And it's a 3 hours, so it's a mean
But then you would have to cancel Pearl and they'd have to not do Farmore.
I actually in the end, right?
Well, we won't do anything. The thing is, you're not getting any exercise these days because you're not going out. Try and sort yourself out.
That's about my fault doing
Yeah, but if
that.
you keep playing, you know that if you keep playing, you will play and
This
play and
one-
play until you have a Stop the gaming, right? So finish this game
And it's a 3 hours,
and have your shower.
And also it's a 3 hours, And like 3 hours, What do you mean I
Yeah, but then we won't go to Farmore and we won't be able to have Pearl. You know that. So finish that game, please, and then go and have your shower.
And it's a 3 hours,
So if you're not going to recover, then we just have to have a no gaming day tomorrow. Because we can't have the same sort of thing going on Monday. So it'll be a day of just watching TV.
Yeah, I know.
You just stay in your bedroom with the air conditioner on and watch TV. I'm quite serious because you've got to grow out of this. Okay? So finish the game and have your shower.
And do the 3 hours,
Well, if you do that, that's fine, but what it means